All right, welcome back. Let's talk a little cycling today, buddy.
We shall. It's June 15th, the year 2023, folks. Welcome aboard. You're listening to Crushing Iron Podcast, episode 694.
Yeah, and it's perfect timing. I rode the Wisconsin course this weekend. Went back to the scene of the crime, man.
I was going to say, did you have I know you guys went and rode the course last weekend or the loop. Did you have some were you dealing with it okay? Did you have some flashbacks, or you just wanted to get that first one out of the way and remind yourself that it is in fact one of your, if not your favorite courses outside of the tough, cold, windy, and rainy experience you had last year at Ironman Wisconsin?
I'm not going to lie, I had a low-level anxiety all week. And I don't know why. I think it was more because I just hadn't been out riding this year. I've been mainly on a trainer. But I got up there, and it was a perfect day and a little bit windy, but just, overcast, maybe like 80, 75, 80, something like that. Perfect weather. And I was once again reminded of how iconic that course is. And to this day, it's still my favorite ride. Not last year, but normally when it's nice weather, that course is just does not disappoint. And I got to tell you, one of the things that it was interesting because last year in the end of that race, my upper body was absolutely just destroyed, shelled, and cold, and it is a bumpy course at times, and but this time I got out there, and plus I've been dealing with a wrist injury, so I was a little nervous about how that was going to affect it, and I really was learning to hold on loosely and don't let go. 38 special, but holding on loosely. But I was thinking about that in terms of athletics in general and how important it is to have a firm grip, but kind of a relaxed grip. And you can relate to that in tennis and of course, baseball, holding onto a bat. Anything you grip too tight is not going to be a good performance mechanism. And I think it translates to the bike. And I was really looking at some of these bumps that were coming up, and I was taking it specifically, almost like really shock absorbing with my right arm. And so it kind of set the tone for the whole day. And I just really wasn't nearly as affected with the concept in mind that I was going to be lighter on the front end going over these things. And I just think that's a good lesson and a reminder, because it really kind of sets the tone for being relaxed on a bike too. I think most people that are afraid of, downhills or anything like that, they really grip tight, and it just sort of sets the chemistry in their nervous system or something. So just kind of pay attention to your grip on the handlebar or the bars, and even in aero, it's just kind of just try to get more and more relaxed. And I really think that was my number one reminder from this weekend.
Coming out of the gate, dropping knowledge before we even do the intro. You went right into the topic of the day, which is we pulled the Facebook group because we got a busy next few weeks, and the biggest liked or supported comment that we had was, you guys do a great job with the How to Not Suck at Swimming series. How about a Not to Suck at Cycling? So that is what today is. It'll be part one of a How to Not Suck at Cycling. You know what? We're gonna go introless today. If it's your first time tuning in, listen to another one, because we usually do an intro. We're happy. We're proud of you. We're proud of you. We're proud of us.
We're proud of you.
Or else, yeah, we are. So, we are proud of you. If you're listening, we're proud of you. I hope you will gain some knowledge today. But yeah, we're going to do a How to Not Suck at a Cycling series. We'll do a part one today, and again, part two next Tuesday. Today it's going to be more on the technical aspect, but what you talked about was technical. It's funny you say that I talked about playing tennis a lot lately, but I got a lesson a few weeks ago, or two now, help me fine tune some things. And one of the biggest things he's told me is loosen up your grip. Loosen up your grip. So I'll have to stop and really, really focus on relaxing my hand, because I've lost a little bit of a feel for the racket in my hands and how to flick my wrist and when. I'm trying to get all that back. So it's not about forcing, it's about feeling it, right? And so, before we go into, part one of our How to Not Suck at Cycling is going to be all about, I think, just the added things you can do to become and be a better cyclist, not a faster cyclist. Even though these will all lead to being faster, They're all the things that are overlooked. A lot of athletes want to talk about, how do you periodize? How do you train? How much time and intensity? What kind of data should we pay attention to? That's going to be part 2, because while it's very, very, very important, it's also what everyone always focuses on. And the more I'm at races, the more I'm outside riding. And you brought up a great point about your first outside ride of the year. Part 1, right? Again, this will be more about the technical aspects, things you can do in addition to training to actually get all of the fitness out of yourself, right? A lot of people wonder why they don't perform as well on race day. Well, it's because you train inside in a vacuum and then you go out into the real world and expect it to be awesome, right? So one of the first things, and we harp on this a lot, is, and again, how to not suck at cycling, is to ride your bike outside, right? Do you have to do it every ride? No, I don't. No one really does. I mean, some people do, but most don't, right? Because there's a time and a place, but riding your bike outside, especially for long rides, especially if you sign up for a course that is going to be what I consider a sturdy and strong course, right? Like Wisconsin, because it's 2 different animals, right? When you think about, especially long course racing, getting outside on your bike, right? Learning how to handle, learning how to absorb, right? Not the greatest roads like that. I think people really don't take that into account when they think about fitness or think about energy expenditure. Get outside on roads. You find the shittiest road you can possibly ride on, right? Make the road you ride on race day feel easy, right? Feel perfect, right? Because people come from like perfect pancake flat roads. They go to these Midwest races, especially where they get a lot of snow. There's a lot of chip seal. And they're like, the worst roads ever. And then you see somebody else and they're like, that road was great compared to where I live. That's like pancake flat, brand new asphalt. Again, it's all relative to where you come from, but it's also because most cyclists and riders have gotten really soft the last 5 years because most of your riding is done inside. So step 1, get outside, be accustomed, like you said, handling your bike, be one with the bike. And that's like a mentality thing. Don't fight your bike, be one with your bike. And that goes with gripping it too hard. If you're gripping it, you're fighting it, right? You're fighting and forcing. If you're moving with your bike and you are one and you're looking where you're going and you're moving and grooving left and right, you're taking turns like you should at speed, not, going down a hill with your hands slammed on the brakes, which actually is way more dangerous than going down the hill without your hands on the brakes. When it comes to like a control standpoint, do those things, right? And you'll be more comfortable and more confident on race day. Yeah.
And there's some, fairly fast descents out there on that course. And I think a lot of people are afraid. I mean, you can get going, so, a couple of them, I think, are around 50 miles an hour if you want it. But the key is to learn when it's coming. And if you're going to hit brakes, you got to kind of ease into that hill a little bit more. You're going to get speed no matter what. But try not to like ride the brakes like you're saying. And I think the other thing with the trainer is that's interesting to me is that it takes your body out of it a lot of times. It's sort of like, you're hammering your legs, and I think it's great. I mean, I ride the trainer a lot, but what happens is, it's sort of like, it would be like swimming all the time on a Vasa trainer or something like that. You're thinking so mechanical that you're always thinking just about your legs or whatever, but on the bike off a trainer. So I think we kind of forget how much the core and lower back are involved in that kind of process, and how much it can make it easier if you're flowing with the entire body involved with your bike. And that's the one thing that is always like, it takes a few minutes to come back out there, but I always start to remember it. It's like, geez, you got to be able to flow with your riding. And I always talk about like, using your leverage and your weight and stuff like that. And there's a subtle shift in cycling. It's not just sitting still as possible and pounding the pedals. You gotta kind of have a little dance, a little shift going on in that seat. And it's not, it's a real subtle thing, but it's a weight shift that probably helps you out, going into some of these longer downhills and stuff. And I think it's just because, in mountain biking, which I did a lot of, I tend to will stand up kind of going into a hill, and then I'll like kind of lay back on the back of the seat and just kind of stretch my whole body and kind of get that going. And it all depends on the wind. If there's a lot of crosswinds, you can't be, sitting too far back because you kind of want to have a little more weight on the front. at least for me. And so yeah, it's really great to get out there, man. That, you know, when you come out of Verona on that first hill, it's just like, I was just thinking about the iconicness of that course, because you get out onto that first road and it just sort of sets the tone. You get on, it's the loop, and the minute you get on it, it's sort of like, yeah, this is what it's going to be like. And every little section is similar, but all different. And it's just really cool to get outside and really feel that pavement again. And you know, because you got to be so aware. And I talk about cycling a lot, and how, you know, I think the aero trainer can sort of get you in a mindset where you're just sort of looking down. You're not really aware of what's going on out there. So that to me is one of the things. It's like always be kind of, and I always call it a gaze, not like a focused super stare out into the distance, but just kind of just be aware and know what's going on ahead of time, because then you can set up, whether it's your gearing or, you know, be prepared for what could happen. You see somebody you're kind of gaining on real quick, and you know that you're going to have to end up passing, so you got to look to your left and see what's going on behind you before you get out there. All these little things. There's just so much to be gained from getting out there and actually riding something. Like you're saying, make it tougher. I love the idea of going out and doing hill repeats all the time, and just, you know, the hills is always a big one for people. Like, how do I get better at hills? It was like, just go do them a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, you said exactly what I was going to say next is, you know, people think that the technical part of cycling, they think about data and numbers and technology. Well, the technical aspect is knowing the course. And if you can't ride actually pre-ride the course, not on a computer, but actually pre-ride the course, find the closest thing possible to you, and then do it over and over and over and over and over again. So one of the things you can do, again, that not suck at cycling, again, not just inside, but where it matters, outside, is to, like you said, if you want to know how to do better at hills, do them a shit ton. Don't worry, again, because we get in this trap of, you know, and we talked about this on last week's podcast, I think, about being flexible and me, you know, I've got 2 20-minute intervals today, so I can't do those outside. Well, get in 40 minutes and finding a way. Like, you know, go outside and do, if you need to, 10 to 15 or 22-minute repeats on this one hill. That's kind of crappy roads, right? But you're actually climbing a hill. You're knowing how to shift your bike. You're knowing how to go up. And then you're also knowing how to go down, right? You're practicing climbing, and you're practicing the crucial part of it, because you all know people, or maybe you are one where you're like, you can climb like, you know, like crazy, but when it comes to descents, you get past. So all the effort you did, right? The extra effort, the extra power that you had, you lost with free speed. Not knowing how to handle your bike, not knowing how to hold a line, or knowing what line to take, how to turn at the bottom, and then being confident. So you just gave it away. So you worked hard to put on your brakes. Practice that stuff outside. Find a course that's bumpy. And like you said, do it over and over and over and over again. You'll get the same benefit, right, if you do it enough, and you'll get the confidence of a real life experience. So again, you can't ride the, you know, we always just pre-ride the course if you can, right? If you can't pre-ride the course, find something as similar as you can, close to you, and then repeat it, right? Repeating is your friend, because practice makes perfect. Or as perfect as you're going to get. So doing it over again is a great thing. You don't have to just do it, you know, once a month or do it one time. It's not going to make you better at it. Another technical thing you can do is take, like, if you've got an easy recovery ride for the week, or even just like a zone 2 ride, find like the curviest part of the road, or hit up your neighborhood for like an hour. Soft pedal and practice taking your turns with aggression. Not slamming on your brakes, not coasting, not taking easy, just practicing getting it in and out of corners. You're gonna get your recovery in, right, on your bike. But what are you also gaining? You're gaining in my opinion, free speed by just knowing how to handle your bike. Take turns, take lap. Again, not only are you going to become better, you're gonna get your recovery right in your zone 1, zone 2 right in. You're becoming a better bike handler. And I mean, I think I went over this number a couple months ago. It was like, you can gain minutes on a bike course.
Oh yeah.
Minutes on a bike course, especially ones with lots of turns and lots of hills. Minutes. So again, think about the amount of effort you'd have to put in to shave off 5 minutes off your bike time, the amount of extra hours and intensity and stress to take 5 minutes off. Or you could go out once a week or every other week and hit up like a local parking lot with some cones, or the neighborhood with, a billion different turns. Don't even have a map. Just go have fun with your bike and go be on it. And so that's another way to how to not suck at cycling, is to practice those small things, be very confident, because you'll be ready for everything. You'll know how to make decisions immediately because you've trained your body and your mind and your ability to handle that way, to do them immediately, not to, oh, I didn't expect that to be there because it wasn't, it wasn't on the course that I downloaded. It was how to handle a bike. And once you know that, you don't have a fear about an upcoming road or upcoming descent or upcoming climb, because you know how to handle it. So that's another one.
Yeah.
Learn how to handle your bike by taking those easy rides, or even just an extra ride, right? Or going out with your kid and letting them, scoot around the neighborhood and you do the same thing. Like, all those are great opportunities, again, to learn how to handle your bike better, which is more speed, and they'll actually get all the fitness out of you.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting things, because like the slower you go on a bike, the tougher it is to turn sometimes. So It's a good balance practice. Taken away from this weekend, and there was a lot of the one that comes to mind is right before the first big climb there's a lot of big climbs, but they call the Stagecoach Hill, I think it is. And kind of when you snake into that, you're going a little bit fast at the bottom of it, and you got to make a turn. And there was a lot of situations up there where there was gravel all over the road, for example. And again, I think this is sort of my mountain bike benefit, but I've found that when you go into these, it's like the more you think about that, the tougher it gets. I think sometimes I noticed a couple times when I'd just be coming up to the corner, I would look out and see my line in the gravel and just take it, rather than try to like miss every little piece of pea gravel or whatever it is out there. And your tires are what, an inch wide maybe. You don't need a lot of room. You just got to find your angle, find your sight line, and go through it. And I totally agree with you that you can save time on cornering up there. And not only that, just when you're looking in the distance, you pick your sight line ahead of time. You don't get to a corner and go, I'm going to turn left. You kind of set it up before you get there, and then you lean into the corner, usually take the inside and then wind up on the outside.
And your eyes take you where you want to go, which takes us to our next one. Where your head is very, very important when it comes to cycling. And that is all generated from an appropriate bike fit. The best money you can spend on free speed and more comfort is a good bike fit. If you are insane, and I think that's one of the most overlooked, but also most complicated pieces of triathlon, is getting the best bike fit for you. Getting a bike fit isn't buying a bike and having your bike, the local bike shop mechanic, eyeball you on the bike that he just put you on and sold because it's in stock and on the floor.
That's not it.
First thing, yes, unfortunately, that's not it. Best case scenario before you even get a bike, if you're out there and you're considering buying a bike, is get fit first. Find your fit coordinates first. Find your stack and reach, because every company has different dimensions and are better suited for different kinds of athletes, right? Short torso, long torso, short legs, long legs. Find the bike that'll best fit your coordinates the best first. Now, once you get a bike and you're on a bike, or if you didn't do that first, find a very, very good fit that'll let you come back a couple times, because a great fit is going to do a bunch of things for you. And we talked about this plenty on the hundreds of podcasts we've done, is most of the running niggles that I see as a coach don't come from running. They come from a bad bike fit in cycling. They just don't show up as pain or niggles on the bike because it's non-weight bearing. You can get away with it until you put load on it. You really put some tension and weight on those tendons and ligaments and the structure of your body to where they're really going to be highlighted. So you'll be more comfortable on your bike, right? If you're more comfortable, you're going to ride it more. Okay. And if you ride it more, you're going to get fitter. Okay. Not only from a comfort standpoint, but if you address, from a bike fit standpoint, the distances you're doing, right? Are you long course or you short course? If you're long course, you probably need a little bit less of an aggressive, bike position. If you're going short coursing, probably go a little more aggressive, right? We're talking about free speed here. Because again, they go different directions. If you're a short course athlete, doing sprints in Olympics, you can handle being in a more condensed, compact position that's probably more aero, again, saving you time, right? And you only have to run a 5K or a 10K off the bike. So you can do that for a very short period of time. Long course, a lot of times you need a little more of a lax position, a little bit of an upright position. You're being on the body a bit longer. It's also easier to consume calories and food that way, but you also have to run off the bike. You can't really have that closed of a hip angle and then expect to run really, 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 really well off the bike. Some people can, most can. That also takes more flexibility, great core strength. Also, you might find that your crank arms need to be shortened or elongated, right? You can't just shorten them. You have to buy a new crank set, but some shorter crank is better for some people. Long crank is better for others. Bike fit will do this for you. Your cockpit, right? Your air bars, your extensions, your pads, right? Some people have pads that are way too close. Yes, it's making you more aero, right? Potentially, if your arms are in the right spot and your hands are in the right place. But what it also can do is really constrict your lungs and your ability to breathe. So again, things that are very, 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 very crucial, and allowing yourself to kind of fall into your position is how you should feel. You want to fall into your bike fit position and be comfortable, not want to hold on to it for dear life, right? And again, a great bike fitter honestly can make or break your cycling experience by making it more enjoyable, more comfortable. Then you're going to be on your bike more, be more confident, be faster, all these things. Get a great bike fit. It is the best thing you can do when it comes to becoming a better cyclist and generating more power and being more comfortable while you do it. And then the cherry on top is, even if you have to give up a little bit of power, maybe if you're generating power from your position, you're probably going to gain it from an aerodynamic standpoint, right? I've seen people hit the wind tunnel or get a bike fit, and then they're saving like 5, 10, 12 watts. That's a huge number. Huge number. That's minutes on a 70.3. That's 4 to 5 minutes on a full, just from a position change. Again, free speed, right? The ways instead of crushing yourself 5 days a week on the trainer, there are things you can do if you take a little time, put a little bit of attention to detail, find the right fit. Again, you have to play with it, go back and forth, but a fit is the thing that you have to get done, and is one of the first things that I always go to when I talk to athletes that are having niggles, that are uncomfortable, or they're getting saddle sores. That's another huge thing, right? A saddle sore can put you off the bike for weeks, right? May even require a hospital visit. So again, that's a position thing and a saddle thing, but that's always my first question. When was the last time you got a bike fit? How good of a job do they do? Let me see your hip angle. Is it too close? What's your cleat positioning? All these things, especially with how hard some people ride, right? It's one of those things where it's not only going to help your running, it's not only going to help your cycling, but it's also going to impact positively your running.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I got to go back and get my lunch table set up for this long course aero position. I knew.
Yes.
I've just been a little too aggressive, I think, at least for my age and for the distance. So, yeah, that's exciting to think about, though, that you can make a little tweak, get a little more comfortable, and then get more wattage out of it. I mean, that's just like that. Yeah, how many people are leaving that on the table, right? Yeah,
it's the name of the game, and that's the biggest thing. A lot of people will put, because you can get, you look at wheels, right? We're talking about buying speed here, the gear aspect. Wheels will improve your speed. They'll improve them even more the faster you go. Wheels are opposite of wetsuits, right? Wetsuits are better for people the slower they are, because it improves all the technical deficiencies you have from body position and stuff like that. Wheels, like when you read like the white papers that come out from even bikes, from their aerodynamics, or wheels, how fast they were in the wind tunnel, or at yaw and what angle, they're always at like 28 or 30 miles an hour, all the time savings. I'm like, if you're listening to this podcast, you ain't doing that unless you're going downhill. So one of the things you have to consider when you look at race wheels is how deep do you want to go, and then can you actually ride them. I find them more stable I find them easier to handle because a lot of times there's a better power transfer. But if you're not a person that likes to ride outside a lot, if you get a lot of crosswind or you're not comfortable riding them downhill, everybody talks about crosswinds. But a lot of courses, again, like Placid, Coeur d'Alene, Wisconsin, that are hilly and have lots of descents, you get a lot of play on that front wheel, right? Where you steer if you have a deep front wheel. And that's something a lot of people aren't ready for. So they have these really fast wheels and they get to the top of a hill and they go down the hill, but they're so worried about the front getting blown and them getting blown off their bike that they slam on their brakes, which if they weren't going to slam on their brakes, ride some shallower rims, be able to be an arrow, and now you're gaining time versus maybe losing time because you chose the wrong depth wheel. Again, something else you can't just buy and let it sit in your garage all year. You got to practice in the conditions, in the environment, the best you can, the same road surfaces. If you're going to use, depths of a 4.8 or a disc wheel to benefit your race. And yes, it can gain minutes, and yes, it can be more responsive and get better power transfer. But that only applies if you know how to ride them. Same goes for kind of like run shoes. The super shoes are only super as long as you can run quickly in them. There's nothing super about walking in a Nike Alpha Fly.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever rode with my deep wheels, and that as an experienced cyclist, it scared the crap out of me. Actually, it was real windy and just on a flat. But I had this thing where like those flows that I use are a little bit heavier than I think a lot of wheels, because I can tell that I've been actually kind of kicking this around right now because I get good speed on the downhill because it gives it a little extra weight. My bike is really fast in the coasting mode, but I'm wondering if I'm sacrificing too much on the climbs, or if I could, which way that would be better off. I'm trying to kick that around right now.
I mean, just lay off a couple extra trunk cookies, and those are your few ounces, right? Your few ounces right there. The biggest time saver also is, from a technical aspect and how it's like a cycling that we'll cover today, is tires and PSI. Tires can make a significant difference in how fast or slow you go. Like the best example I can give is like Continental Gator skins. Super durable, right? They have a massive amount of tread. They're the tires that you want to train on. They kind of like swimming with a parachute on or like running with a weighted vest. They're so slow. They are, by Continental's breakdown, they're like 12 to 20 watts slower than their GP 4000s or 5000s. Wow. That's an insane amount. But a lot of people use them on race because they're afraid that they might get a flat. So you're giving up time. You're having to work harder to do the same speed, right? When all you need to do is learn how to change a tire. And here's the thing. Even if you were rocking GP 4000s or 5000s now on any course, and you get a flat and you can change it in less than 5 minutes, you're still going to be faster than riding with gator skins and not getting a flat.
Aren't they tough to change too? Tougher?
Yes, they're a bitch to change. I mean, like, you need like a full-length crowbar to get these things out, and man hands. Not like most of you white-collar hands out there. You need like legit man hands like the dude on aisle 7 at Home Depot has. That's the kind of man hands you need. Not these soft hands people got now these days. Like, no, you can't get it off. I mean, like, you're going to have to ask for assistance. Like, so pick the right tire, right? Pick a fast tire, whether it's tubeless or not. You need a good tire, right? A fast tire for race day. It makes a huge difference from a rolling resistance standpoint. And speaking of rolling resistance, the other piece is the PSI, right? Long gone are the days where rocking like 110 PSI is like the name of the game. Now, and there's great actually like websites you can go to. Flow, they've got a great chart for PSI based on road conditions and body weight. Or you can go to Silica and go, I think it's just like PSI calculator. You put in your weight and you put in the type of roads, and they punch out what your rear and front tires should be. And because weight is a big difference, and obviously now you can do 23s, 25s, sometimes 28s on the rear of these bikes, instead of the standard, like, real narrow tires with high PSI made for the most uncomfortable ride because it's so jarring. Now you can ride a little bit fatter because if you have the clearance on the back end, the bumpier end where your weight is distributed. Because again, when you think about like how you ride your bike, if you're sitting up, all the weight is basically sitting on your rear tire. If you're in aero, it's a little more evenly distributed. When you're sitting up, you just take most of the journey because that's right there on your rear wheel. So a fatter tire with a little bit lower PSI just kind of like shock absorbs it. It also creates better rolling resistance. If there is going to be rain right in the forecast, like we told our athletes at Wisconsin last year, we were talking a minute ago, if it's raining, you want to lower your PSI a little bit more because it means more ground contact. More ground contact is better. Think about how little ground contact your tire has to the pavement when it's like a 23 and it's pumped up like 110. You got like a half inch maybe. Now, if you're rocking 25s, 28s, lower PSI, you're getting more ground contact. You can take the corners better and faster, saving you time. A more comfortable ride and a faster ride. So go to those websites, look up, find the PSI that you're supposed to run. Again, it'll be different front and rear, the tires that you're using, and the type of roads that you're on. Huge difference, especially again when you're riding, chip seal or a little bit of gravel here and there, or rumble strips, or like Wisconsin's great. Again, another great example. Any kind of Midwest road where it's not going to be pancake smooth. You're going to want a little bit of a lower PSI, and because the higher the PSI, when you kind of hit some of these huge bumps, because again, cyclists or triathletes aren't the best at looking up the road. Like you said, they look straight down and wonder why they hit potholes, and they blame it on the race director for not highlighting all the roads that they only had like a half a millisecond to find. It's a much better opportunity to not get pinch flats or hit a pothole and get a flat. It's just it's again, take a little bit of time. Easy free speed. So in summary, if you look at things like the technical aspects, right, over the 70.3 Ironman course about how to ride your bike and save minutes from knowing how to handle, go up hills, and take down hills and descents, the watts you can save on a bike fit, the watts you can save from the right wheel depth, and the watts you can save from the right PSI. Some of you could be close to probably 10 minutes. And the best way to describe that is by not doing those things, you get the transition, you have to stop. And then your identical twin who did all those things will run a 10-minute mile. And as soon as they get to that mile, then you can start. And that's how far behind you are. Just by doing things, looking into things. A lot of it is even purchasing, right? Most people have some deeper wheels, but tires, PSI, technical aspects, get a bike fit, like, I just want to hammer myself 3 more times a week on the trainer. Okay. Well, when it comes to race day and you wonder why things aren't working out very well, look at it, and look at your bike fit, look at your position, look how you're running off the bike, all these things. And that's not even covering. That's like, I'm not even going to go into the watt savings because you've seen a lot of these pro athletes. We're going to close it out here. But maybe we'll talk about it on the next one. But you've seen a lot of the pro athletes starting at Kona last year that are shoving bottles down the front of their jersey to save time because it's more aero and it keeps their core temp. The aerodynamic and watt savings are mind blowing.
Really? Mind blowing.
But I won't get into it because some of you guys are probably in the 44 age group. Maybe we'll keep those in house. But yeah, it's kind of unreal. But again, these are all topics and things you can do, details. Again, the technical aspects of how to be a better cyclist, right? Not to gain more fitness, but how to be a better cyclist. It's not just about fitness. It's about how you can handle what your position's like, the gear you use, the PSI you're running on the tires that you choose. Again, takes a little extra work, all beneficial and all things you can do without a lot of extra effort. As always, we love you. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope this benefited you in how to become or suck less at cycling. As always, go to our website, c26triathlon.com, and there's a one-stop shop for all things coaching, camps, and community. If you need anything from Mike, he is available, CrushingIron@gmail.com, or if you need anything from me, c26coach@gmail.com.
All right, bud. I will catch up with you next Tuesday.
10 minutes or something.
Okay.
See you.
See you.